Hey, what's up, team? My name is T. Edwards, and I teach leadership. Super excited today. We are going to practice a modern interview. You're going to see yours truly in an interview setting. So let's get cracking. Man, I am so excited. I'm excited for a couple of reasons today. Number one, you ain't gonna believe this. I have got 2 subscribers to my YouTube channel. Oh, I'm excited about that. And I tell you what, and I promised both of you, I'm going to do everything in my power to teach you everything I know about leadership, some things you may not have heard before. So, that being said, second reason I'm excited today is we are going to talk about the big interview. If you've been with me for the first 4 videos, we've learned a lot about leadership. We've defined leadership. What is leadership? Leadership is the relentless pursuit of a goal. Doesn't matter whether it's at work or in your personal life, it's the same. The same rules apply. Leadership is the relentless pursuit of a goal. We've talked a lot about self-awareness in the prior videos. We talked about the critical nature of being self-aware, aware of self, of studying oneself, knowing your goals, your strengths, your weaknesses, and your enemy. We've talked about the importance, step 1 of leadership, the importance of goal setting and how to set effective goals as a leader. We've talked about the fundamental purpose of a leader. And who can tell me the fundamental purpose of a leader? Exactly. Bravo for the gentleman in the back, my subscriber. The fundamental purpose of a leader is to teach. Never let anyone tell you any different. And we've also determined how you know you may be ready for leadership. So we're going to talk about the next big step on your journey. And I know that we focused a lot on leadership in the workplace, but like I said earlier, the same rules apply whether you're leading yourself, learning to play the ukulele, or whether you're leading a team of 50 people at the job. The same rules apply. There are no difference. So you got yourself an interview. Today, man, this is the reason why I'm in such a good mood. Today, we're going to start practicing for the interview. And we're going to talk about some modern interview questions that you might run across. None of the, tell me where you see yourself in 5 years, none of that crap. We're going to talk about, for instance, we're going to talk about leadership with artificial intelligence being used more and more in the workplace. We're going to talk about leadership in a very human-centric environment where, you know, it's about the people, kind of like the leader human style. We're going to talk about leading in possibly a hybrid environment. You know, people are still working from home in some capacity. So you're going to sit in on an interview today. So let's get into it. Again, and you're gonna see yours truly actually interviewing. And shoot, yeah, I was a little nervous. All right, you know, I have my interview voice on, a little bit nervous, but that's okay. You'll be nervous too, or you should be a little nervous when you get ready for your interview. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Thank you for meeting with me today. To start, please tell me a little bit about yourself.
Thanks so much for having me. Well, I joined the organization in October of 2023, and after training from February of 24 until June of 25, I was a customer service agent on the floor, and I achieved top 5%, countrywide, top 5% in customer service year over year. Very proud of that. And in June of 2025, I was announced as a team leader, and that's when I really realized that it's not just leadership that I grew to love. It's the teaching, the coaching, the mentoring, which I was taught by a mentor of my own. That real leadership is in teaching. The fundamental purpose of a leader is to teach, and I take that to heart. And from what I know about this position that we're discussing today, that aligns perfectly with your customer-centric approach to the work product and to your human approach to team leaders and supervisors. So looking forward to discuss it more.
Thank you. As you know, AI is becoming more prevalent in the workplace. How do you decide which tasks to automate while maintaining team morale?
Sure. I use a simple rule. I automate the task and never the touch point. I look for high volume, repetitive work that saps the team's energy. That kind of stuff is fine for AI. But for the human centric moments, the mentorship, the conflict resolution, and the brainstorming sessions, that kind of stuff is protected. I want my team using their human intelligence for work that requires empathy and nuance. Leave the robots to the light work.
I like that. Can you describe a time you used AI data to make a decision, but ultimately overrode it based on your intuition or team empathy?
Sure. Recently, a data model suggested that we shorten the project timeline by 20%, moving the original deadline up by weeks. Technically, I couldn't debate the math, but I looked at the human data. The team had just completed a high stress, high volume sprint, and morale was brittle. I decided to maintain the original timeline. And the result of that was we maintained quality, we maintained engagement, we maintained morale. The data gives you the what, but leadership gives you the why behind the who.
How do you cultivate psychological safety in a hybrid or distributed team where you don't see your people every day?
You know, psychological safety isn't about being nice. It's about being predictable in a world of constant change. In a hybrid world, I build safety through micro certainty. We have clear and consistent communication protocols so that no one is left guessing what urgent or critical means. I also hold digital office hours, and this is specifically for non-chat work. And this ensures that even when we're distributed, when we're spread out and we're hybrid, the human connection remains constant.
Describe a time you had to deliver soul crushing news while maintaining a positive environment within the team.
You know, I think the key is radical clarity paired with radical empathy. I don't hide behind corporate speak or HR scripts. I deliver the news directly and I explain the why behind the business decision. And then I create space for the human reaction. My job in that moment is not to fix their feelings, it's to respect their dignity by being honest and available for the fallout. My job at that time is to be a leader human.
I like that. How do you handle a high performer who is technically brilliant but culturally toxic?
Look, I have a zero tolerance policy for the brilliant idiot. If someone is technically elite but culturally toxic, they're actually a net negative for the team and for the organization because they suppress the output of every single person around them. At first, I'm going to offer coaching to see if this is a simple self-awareness issue. But if the behavior doesn't shift, I transition them straight out the door. You can't cultivate an inclusive culture of excellence and high performance on a cancerous foundation.
Let's switch gears. What is your specific framework for turning a B player into an A player?
You know, I don't necessarily believe in B players. I believe everyone's a leader in their own right and has a valuable talent. Ultimately, I believe in misaligned skill sets, and I'll use a simple diagnostic. Is this a skill cap or is it a will cap? If it's a skill cap, then we'll develop a coaching blueprint and we'll train accordingly. If it's will cap, on the other hand, then we'll look at their internal why. Usually, once a person feels seen and valued and their work is tied to a clear vision, normally the performance will transition from compliance to commitment.
It's obvious you put a lot into your team. Okay, how do you manage up when your own leadership is stuck in an outdated, stiff management style?
Okay, got to be careful with this one. I try to lead by infectious results. Instead of telling my superiors that their style is outdated, I model what I call the leader human style with my own team. And once our performance is at the highest level, we're the most engaged and most retained team in the organization, leadership will typically start to ask us, hey, what are you guys doing? And at that point, we'll share our protocols and our systems that we've developed with other teams in the organization, leading to an overall increase in value. So I try to manage up by proving that empathy is actually the most direct path towards driving the bottom line.
Agreed. Performance always speaks loudest. How do you keep your team focused on a long-term vision when the industry is changing every 3 months?
Good question. I anchor the team in values and vision rather than strategies. Strategies can and must change, but our North Star, in other words, the problem that we're solving for our customers, that remains constant. I communicate in short horizons, in other words, what we're doing this week, while I maintain and reinforce our evergreen vision, which is why we exist as an organization. And I found that this prevents whiplash during pivots.
Tell me about a time you failed as a leader. What did you learn about your self-leadership from that experience?
Okay. I once pushed a project through without true buy-in from the team, and the project failed. It was a failure of my own leadership maturity, and I realized that I was leading with ego rather than leading for the ultimate outcome. That failure taught me a lot about my own self-awareness as well as my own leadership maturity. And the one lesson I took from it is that as the leader, I must always remain grounded in humility.
Okay, finally, if I asked your team to describe your leadership style in 3 words, and it's none of which can be boss or manager, what would they be?
Okay, I would say, I would want them to say that I am driven, consistent, and human. Driven because they are always aware that I am driving forward towards our goal, towards our shared vision, 1000%. Consistent because they know I'm going to show up as my authentic self every day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And human because they know that I see them as more than just resources to manage. They're my brothers and sisters. They're my family.
Wow. Listen, I really enjoyed our talk today. One final question. Would you be interested in joining me for coffee later?
So that was the interview. And I'll tell you, next video if I got the job or not. But I think the interview went pretty well. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think. Some things as you prepare for your interview. You listen, you can't just go into the interview resting on your laurels of your past performance, okay, or resting on the laurels of your resume. You got to be prepared for that thing. So a couple of tips. Make sure that you practice interviewing where possible. Get someone to, preferably if you're interviewing in the same company that you currently work for and you're just going to interview for the next level, get someone to practice. Bounce your ideas back and forth. If you do not, hey, get someone to read you some good solid interview questions. Use the questions that you just saw in my interview. But you do want to practice. Tip number 2, make sure you research the company. Okay, make sure that you can talk intelligently about the company, where the company is going, what the company is all about, what their mission is. If you are interviewing in the same company for a higher level, make sure that you do as much research as you can into your interviewer. Know what he or she is looking for in a new teammate. Okay, finally, and I see a lot of people make this mistake. Make sure that you research the position that you are interviewing for. You must be able to speak intelligently about the position for which you're interviewing. Know the goals of that position, know the role and how it fits into the whole of the organization. So you definitely want to know as much as you can about the position that you're interviewing for. Finally, always have one or two good, solid questions to ask at the end of your interview. You'll be given an opportunity to ask questions. So if you've done research on the company, ask about the company's 5-year plan. Ask about where they see themselves. You might even want to ask how they currently have the position you're interviewing available. Is it growth? Is it turnover? So you can ask questions like that. Ask what the last person did to be so successful. Ask how you can exceed expectations on your job evaluation at the end of your first 6 months or year. So have some good, solid questions to ask as you wrap up your interview. Remember those things. And above all, man, I want to thank you all for sticking with me. Thank you all so much for my subscribers, both of you. Thank you so much for believing in me and trusting in me. And I promise you, I will not fail you. I will make you proud. Hit me up in the comments section. Let's talk about the interview you have coming up, or talk about the last interview that you had. Let's get some dialogue started, because we're trying to build a network of eternal learners. Okay. Remember, the fundamental purpose of a leader is to teach. So we want to make absolutely sure that we are always learning so we can teach. As always, team, thank you so much for leading.